Sonia Keister here, and I am so happy to be with you to share another idea for entertaining. As always, my recipes come with do-ahead steps to make cooking for friends and family less stressful for you. Now, entertaining doesn't always need to be fancy. In fact, some of my favorite gatherings have been very casual get-togethers. But one thing is true, the food does need to be good. And with Super Bowl Sunday coming up, I'm sure many of you are pondering what to put on your Super Bowl party menu. So for me personally, no Super Bowl party is complete without the classic, a slider. And even better is a slider bar. I mean, just kind of think of it like an ice cream sundae party, but for adults, where you put out the basics and a few really good toppings and everybody is happy. So today we're gonna make 3 toppings, all with amazing flavor, but the best part is you can make them all ahead of time, which means that on game day, all you have to do is grill up those burgers, set everything out, sit back, relax, and enjoy the game and good company. So our lineup for today, in no particular order, is first a habanero infused ketchup. Second, we're gonna make a homemade ranch relish, which is homemade ranch with a few other ingredients thrown in there for some added flavor and texture. And then finally, we have slowly caramelized balsamic onions. So that's the lineup. Let's get cooking. Okay, so our first recipe is our habanero infused ketchup. And really, it couldn't be easier. There's just 2 main ingredients. 1 habanero pepper and about 1.5 cups of good quality ketchup. Now habaneros, they're spicy, but they have this great fruity kind of flavor to them. So by slowly infusing our ketchup with it, we're gonna get that kick and that heat, but we're also gonna change the flavor profile of our ketchup to have more of a fruity note, which is gonna be super yummy on our burgers. All right, so just follow along. I'm gonna chop it up, put it on the stove top with a little oil to release the juices of the pepper, then add in my ketchup, let it kind of simmer for 30 minutes, and then I'm gonna strain it to remove the bits of habanero. Okay, so just a quick playback on what we just did with our habanero infused ketchup. I finally chopped the habanero peppers, and then on the stovetop, I added a little oil to the pan, and when that was hot, added my habaneros in and got them going just to release the oils and the flavor from the habanero. Then added in the ketchup. Because you're not trying to reduce this any further, you really just want to get the mixture hot and blended together. Then I turned the heat off and covered it with a lid and just let it steep for about 25-30 minutes to get the flavor going. And now I'm simply just going to strain it into a bowl and taste it and set it aside. It can be made a couple days ahead and stored in the fridge. If it's too spicy for you, you can always fix it by adding some more ketchup to it. But remember, it is going to pair with the slider burger, so you do want a good bit of heat coming through at this point. All right, next up on our Super Bowl lineup is our ranch relish. It's kind of a combination of just what it sounds like, a homemade creamy ranch dressing with some components of a relish all kind of tossed in and thrown together to make it a little more interesting. And it does pair well. The creamy ranch part pairs very well with our spicy habanero ketchup. So let's just start with, there's a lot of ingredients here, but don't worry, most of them are pantry items and something that you probably have on hand. So let's just start with how you make a basic homemade ranch. We have mayo, some kind of good quality mayo, buttermilk, and sour cream. We're gonna add those, about half cup of each, to the bowl, mix them together. That's the base. To make ranch dressing, usually you have some onion and garlic powder, about a teaspoon or so of that tossed in. I like a little kick, mostly for tanginess more than heat, but I like a little dash of hot sauce in mine. That's totally optional. And then I have dried parsley and dried dill. If you want to use fresh, that's great too. You can use a little more fresh than dried. Dried, we'll use about a half teaspoon of each. To that, let's move over to the relish side of the family. We're gonna kick up our ranch sauce by adding a kosher dill pickle or two. We're gonna chop that up. Capers, which have like a nice salty, briny flavor to them. And the final piece is pepperoncinis. Now, pepperoncinis are a pepper, but they're not really spicy. They add more, crunch and flavor than anything else. So this is a no-cook, and then we just have a little bit of salt. This is a no-cook recipe. We're going to combine them all into this bowl, mix it up, and then let it sit up for a couple hours in the fridge. Because it is a cream base that has the mayo and the buttermilk in it, you don't want to make this too many days in advance. So at least a couple hours, let it set up and marry those flavors together, but probably not more than 1 day ahead. All right, we'll follow along as I mix together, and then we'll move on to step 3, our caramelized onions. Our third and final topping for our amazing burger bar, sliders bar, is the caramelized onions in balsamic. Now let's just get one thing straight. There is no rushing caramelized onions. If you do, you'll either end up with burnt onions or undercooked onions, and trust me, you won't be winning any fans like that. So just allow for 30 to 40 minutes for this process, but the good news is a lot of it is done on its own on the stove. And it's really simple because there's only a couple of ingredients. I like to use Vidalia or a sweet onion just to have even more flavor of that sweet flavor. And I like to also add in a clove of garlic. This is optional, but I think it adds a nice, interesting background note. A good quality balsamic vinegar, that's a must. A little salt. And then optional, but helps with the caramelization process, is about a tablespoon or so of sugar. Now, if you're anti-sugar, if you're on the keto diet, whatever, you can omit this, but it just helps create more of a caramelized flavor. So that's it. I'm going to thinly chop up my onions. Now, key to that is you want to cut off the ends and you want to slice them. They need to be even so they cook evenly. If you slice them too thin, they're just going to kind of dissipate or fall apart. And if you slice them too thick, they're going to be difficult to get to that caramelized state. So take a close look at what they look like on my board, and then we'll move over to the stove and just get them going. Let them do their thing for 30 to 40 minutes. I'll show you what they look like at the end, and then we'll set up our sliders bar. finally done. Mine took the full 30-35 minutes. Every stove, every pan's a little bit different. But just a few key things I wanted to mention. You saw me start the heat up kind of high to get it going. This is not something you can just walk away from. So I started them high, I added all that goodness to it. Once that got absorbed and started to cook down, I lowered the heat, because low and slow is the key to a good caramelized onion. And then I stirred it around every once in a while just to make sure all the onions were cooking evenly, and you want them in a single layer on the pan as best as possible. So here's what they look like. Yum! All that flavor from the balsamic, the garlic, and the slow caramelization cooking process. All right, well, let's go set up our little slider bar and let's get on with our Super Bowl party. All right, friends, we did it. We have our 3 amazing toppings laid out here for our slider bar. And I used the classic burger with some cheese on it, but you could use anything if you wanted ground turkey or salmon burger, or if you wanted to go vegetarian and do portobello burgers, whatever you like. So I have those laid out here. I put some bacon on the side. You can make this ahead too and then just re-crisp it when you're ready to serve. And then I have our balsamic onions, our ranch relish, and our habanero infused ketchup. So just to recap on the do-ahead steps here, the balsamic onions, they can keep for at least a week in the fridge if they're tightly covered. That's a really great do-ahead step. And the habanero ketchup as well. It's probably 4 to 5 days is great for that one. The one that can only hold for up to a day is going to be your ranch relish, because there's some vinegar in there along with the mayonnaise and the cream-based products, so that can start to break down and get a little bit watery. But you do want it to set up in the fridge at least a couple hours to get those flavors going. So I hope you enjoy this game day menu, and I'm going to declare this one a winner.